Hey everybody, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. Let's jump into roll call. Eric Bennett.
Here.
Joy Bryant.
Here.
Maddie Crowell.
Here.
Julia Felici.
Here.
Shelby Hamblin.
Here.
Alex Horning.
Here.
Dr. Martin Kennedy.
Here.
Lacey Lampkins.
Here.
Stephanie Tretchell.
Here.
Renee Skiles.
Here.
Patrick Stanton.
Here.
Jeanette Webster.
Here.
Awesome. Moving into the approval of this week's agenda. You all look over that. Joey?
There is one correction on there. We got an updated supplemental request form for 1829, which should be 1613. $1,613. So if we can make that adjustment, that's what the actual request is for.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Stephanie moves. Alex seconds. Is there any discussion?
You moved.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to the approval of last week's minutes. Could you all go over that, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from last week's meeting.
There's a motion on the table. Maddie seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to the reports for this week. I don't have any reports for you guys.
I just wanted to show this. A couple of people have asked about the actuals versus the approved amount of these requests, and so we have a column over here. As you can see, the shaded columns are not finalized yet, but the white columns are. The variance is about 11.8. So there's 11,000 more in the budget.
And that's primarily the athletics.
Primarily athletics, as you can see, athletics, and then also this one came in a little lower, but the rest of them are pretty close.
Yeah.
Can you go back down? How much do we have left?
$59,888.27.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Alex. Okay.
And then I would add in there, again, that BEC yesterday approved the funding request 1827. Yeah. So that did move forward on that end.
1822.
It's number 27 on the list.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
For the history club.
Yeah, so it was approved through BEC.
No, it's the sub-budget.
And then Alex, this isn't a report, but do we have an update on the vacant student position?
Yes, so I actually have a few people interested in the position, so I've been entertaining the idea of potentially opening it up to either this board or the student government board to review their application and then decide on a final applicant, or go with a first come, first served basis. I personally prefer the idea of looking over the applications and then picking a final qualified candidate. So opening it up, do you want to be a part of that conversation, since you are all actually on the board and have experience being a part of it and you can help influence the decision? It would push back the timeline a little bit more, or I can just open it up to the board of directors at student government, in which case still gets reviewed, but it's a little bit of a quicker timeline.
And I would point out that it would still, regardless, have to go before student government through their normal approval process, so there'd still be during open public comment and all those.
I don't have a problem looking it over, but how long are we talking?
So
we vote on it?
if it was to be brought up to the board, you would get the applications next week, in which case it would have to be voted on the final for the following week. So it would be 2 weeks versus, vote student government,
Yeah.
because we meet the day after the public meeting.
Okay.
And so it'd be Wednesday, and then it'd be the following Tuesday the student government would vote on it. If I brought it up to the board, it would still actually be an extended timeline now that I think about it, simply because a good portion of the board is actually absent this week. A lot of conferences are going on, so.
My recommendation, since it isn't necessarily an item that has to go before the board during the meeting, is those who are interested, you can send it out to the board, and anyone who wants to provide feedback can send it directly to Alex to take to student government by whatever time period when you get it sent out, so it can get up to student government faster.
So just to make sure that I'm within the regulations of FERPA, when I give them the application, is there anything that I should be blanking out? Because I'm not going to be publishing anything, but are they privileged enough to know that information? Because they put their GPA, their student email, and their full name on there. So should I blank it out and just have the reasons why, or like, thoughts?
Thank you. I would, yes, I would go ahead and remove that information and just have the general pieces. In all honesty, I would probably also, just for the sake of any concerns, just provide, even if you type it up, just their piece that's on there.
Yeah.
Just remove names in those. And actually, just to save time, so that way we're not concerned there's anything, if you just want to send those to Vinay,
Yeah.
and then we can take a look and send them out to the committee.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I have a question
Yes.
concerning that. How were these students like chosen?
So all
Or
I
like-
did is I kept mentioning it. I mentioned at our public meeting. I don't choose a student to go
Yeah.
and apply. I just let the information out, and then students apply of their own volition the same way you did. So I actually went and met with Beta Alpha Psi, which is the accounting and finance club, since I figured this deals with a lot of budgetary items, so it kind of fits within their wheelhouse. And so I let them know about it, and so I got a couple applications from that. I also got a couple applications from random students, and so just seeing what people think, I guess, at this point. I don't go and pick a student and say, you
Yeah.
here. It's, they come to me, and then whether or not they fit with the committee, I send it
Yeah.
off or don't.
Okay, cool.
Any further reports? Moving into section 6, public comment first call. Is there any public comment at this time? 70.
Happy Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day.
Any further public comment? Seeing none, moving into section 7, old business, voting on supplemental funding request 1826, the CW Push Cinco de Mayo 5K in the amount of $828.10. Table is open for discussion. Maddie.
So I remember last week we talked about, or we, I think it was Alex, the one that informed, the girl that was presenting about being able to request funds from Club Senate or Academic Senate, one of those two things. And I remember Alex saying that, they wouldn't be able to get funding for the t-shirts, so I think that that's the amount that we should, approve for them, is the $600 for the participant t-shirt for this day, and see if we can get the funding for the other $210-ish, just over $210.
Because they can always come back.
So, I guess I'd like to entertain a motion to approve $600 unless somebody else wants to discuss.
There's a motion on the table. Eric?
I have a correction, and I know when she was doing the presentation, it's not gonna be called the Cinco de Mayo 5K.
Yeah.
That's true.
We wanna make sure that that's
Yes.
changed.
Do we have a comment?
Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we actually, after you suggested to ask the club senate for funding for everything other than the t-shirts, we ran into the problem with the rule about the seed money, which says that we couldn't use, if they were to give us money, we couldn't use it to help us make money for our own club, because they would have to be giving back to the students, and it kind of ran into this little like loophole thing where we just wouldn't be able to use the Senate money for anything that we're doing really because of the seed rule.
And just point of order, since there is a motion, this isn't time for discussions to see if there's a second.
Alex seconds. Any discussion?
Now.
So, what she said is actually totally right. That's, you can't do, like, if you're doing something for a fundraiser, you can't use club money to actually make money. There was an issue last year with students trying to sell tickets, but they used Club Senate funds to fund the fundraiser, and so they ended up actually losing their funding as a result. So she's actually completely right. So with that, I would like to amend it back to the full amount of $828.10.
There's an amendment. Jeanette seconds. Is there any discussion on the motion at hand in the full amount?
On the amendment.
Or on the amendment, excuse me.
I have to vote to.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the full amount.
No, that was the
Amendment.
amendment. Now we
Oh,
have
that
to
was the
vote.
amendment, just kidding. Okay.
Now if there's any discussion.
Yeah, any discussion on the motion at hand? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into section 7, voting on supplemental funding request 1827, the UCA camp in the amount of $7,880. Maddie?
So I can't remember last week if we talked about the $390 for 2 coaches that they was that included in the $7,280 that's in there? And did we decide that we can do that, Lacey?
So it is allowable if you guys approve to fund that. It's an allowable expense.
The part where we clarified is that it has not been the precedent of the committee, so that's where there was the confusion.
Okay. I personally don't think that we should fund the coaches just because the money that we get is from students, and so I think the money should go back to the students.
Agreed.
Calculators?
Oh,
Come on, Alex.
sorry.
An actual calculator.
$6,500.
Also, as a point of information, if you guys remember, we also historically have not been funding transportation, so just something to take into account.
This year, just to clarify
This year,
that.
correct.
So that'd be $5,900 if we were to take that off.
So you're minusing 600 from that.
Minus transportation.
2,900, is that what you got?
6,500
But then minus the 600
Interesting.
for transportation.
Yeah, that's what yep.
Jeanette?
All right, I'm gonna say this wrong. Totally butcher it. And make an amendment? No.
No,
A motion.
Motion.
Yep.
To approve just for $5,900 for the cheerleaders to go to their camp in Spokane.
There's a motion on the table for 5,920.
No,
Just
5,900.
Yep.
Just 5,900. Is there a second? Julia seconds. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Oh, in our notes, are we gonna clarify that it's not for the coaches and not for transportation, or are we just gonna let them divvy it out how they want?
That's how we will present it in our notes, but again, they can choose to spend the
Okay.
money
Mhm.
according to our guidelines. Yes, Eric, did you have a comment? Maddie?
So I'm confused. Where did you get the number 5,900 from?
So I just took the
Did you multiply the 325 by 20?
No, it's 390 times 2 for the coaches.
So then
Subtract
I subtracted that, so 780 from 7,280, which was
Okay.
like that whole thing. And then I did, oh, I guess I should have done 7,880, right? Okay, hold on, let's try this again.
Because wouldn't it be
Yeah, you're right.
minus 600
So
Oh no, you're totally right.
minus
6,500.
We're just all over the place with the math today.
13, so then I got 13,8, wait, okay, so you did
So-
788,
So I did-
7,880.
So it's $780 for the 2 coaches. So I did.
How'd you get
7,000?
780?
Joy?
Do we have a number?
Just for point of information, if
Yeah,
what you're
you're
trying
right.
to do the math to subtract the 600 for travel and the $780, it would be $6,500.
Yeah.
The motion on the table is for $5,900.
Point of order,
Just to
Yeah.
clarify.
So we need to
Eric?
change that.
point of order, it would need to be amended. Because I know the current motion
Well, I gotta
is
figure out what that is.
$5,500.
Maddie?
I'd like to amend the motion at hand, spending out of $6,500.
There's an amendment on the table. Julia seconds. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Table's open for discussion on the amount of 6,500.
Call to question?
All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the amount of 6,500. Moving on to section 7, voting on supplemental funding requests 1828, the Metro Nationals in the amount of $4,000. Eric?
I'd like to make a motion to approve $4,000 for number 1828 Metro Nationals.
Motion on the table for the full amount. Maddie seconds. Any discussion? Joy?
Wait, I thought we said we don't do
Ooh.
transportation.
My only part on here is the question again, you all can continue with it, but just with the point of consistency since it is including travel to and from the airport.
Maddie?
So I remember in the presentation, the presenter specifically said the 4,000 was just for the airfare, that they had
That's
requested
right.
funds from
That's
other
right.
sources.
Thank you.
So they were gonna use the 4,000 just to pay for
Yeah,
their flights.
that's right.
Any discussion on the motion?
Would-
Yes, Patrick? Oh, sorry.
Well, there's also no requirement that we actually use any logic to come up with the amount. I mean, we could just say we're gonna fund 80% of everything, or we only like dollars that end in odd numbers. I just don't want everybody to get too worked up about defending the logic and the math.
Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to section 8, new business supplemental funding request, presentation 1829, the AMSA 2018 convention and exposition in the amount of $1613.
You guys need to stand up there.
Yeah, Jeanette.
And with extended time.
Just stared.
Okay. You guys ready? Okay. Hi guys, it's nice to see you all through a different angle. Little different. We are with the AMSA, American Medical Student Association, and we are trying to go to the 2018 Convention and Exposition in Washington, D.C. on March, I believe it's 8th through the 11th, and we are flying out from the 7th and then flying back on the 11th, just to be clear. My name is Jeanette.
My name's Jacob Darley, I'm the treasurer of the club.
My name is Kaylee.
Scott, you go ahead.
And we are missing one. Her name is Kayleen. She unfortunately could not make it with us, but she is at work. And I just press the center button.
Click for the side button. Launch the computer. Maybe, oh, here, got it.
Okay. All right. Next.
Over the course of these 3 days, this convention will hold multiple different skill-based clinics, seminars, and focus groups that we will be either splitting up or going to as a club together. The clinics will involve suturing, interview practice, and speed networking. Seminars will be talks held by medical professionals that will assist us in learning about myths from the MCATs or different things that we need to know to get into medical school and other such things.
The outcomes of this convention, there's literally so many. There's networking, seminars, as was already said. All this information can be brought back and told to future pre-med students or like students who aren't quite sure about their majors, or just in general. There's a lot of like good information to be passed on.
Foundational. So like some of the things that we'll be learning at this convention and exposition is not just for ourselves to get into med school, but to allow us as officers or fellow officers, some of them are juniors, to teach the coming in pre-med students what it takes to be a pre-med, what it takes to get into certain schools. There's admissions counselors there as well, which is, I'm sure you guys all understand, is a big deal. Making that face-to-face contact, you're not just an application, you're a person, and being able to teach. I mean, it's not just for us to learn to be better doctors, but it's to teach the fellow students, not just suturing, because I know that's fun, pig's legs, etc., but teaching them about ethics, teaching them about talking in front of people, etc.
So after the conference, the things that we'll be able to gain and bring back to the school, we would be able to come back, basically what we've been saying, and help future students basically like know more about pre-med and what it takes to get into medical school. And as of right now, we only have about like 200 students as pre-med out of about 11,500. And to have this information and what's the word? Yeah. Contacts, yeah. Sorry. And we would be able to sort of let other students know and with us and also join our club. And sort of like
So I think the biggest thing about this slide, and the reason why I and my fellow officers started this club in the beginning of spring last year, was because we want to retain students in pre-med. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality that we are a small school, and we are not a big science school. We're known for other things besides science, and we're growing, but we also have to grow those small communities such as pre-med. Those students that I had talked to, and the reason why I'm here is because they left. They left Central to go other places because they're pre-med, because they didn't even know we had a program. That is not okay with me. It's not okay with, I think, anybody that's on our faculty or staff or advisor. We work really hard to make sure that we have a pre-med program to send them off to med schools, and that's how we grow as a school, right? Is having those sciences, having those smaller disciplines accumulate to a larger capacity. So student retention is really the biggest thing we're looking at here.
So as a treasurer, my job is basically the nuts and bolts of the dollars and cents. So we've already done some funding, and we also have the expenses that we're anticipating. For the academic senate, we're expecting to get 1,300. We'll have their packet in, and everything's good for that. We just have to do the meetings and get it approved. From club senate, 1,800. Today we're requesting from you $1,613. And then the students, ourselves plus one other, have already contributed $2,310 towards this trip. We do have club accounts. Our club account's set up a little bit differently than most. We have, within our club, it's a pre-med club, but there's 2 subsidiary organizations within it. And that's the American Medical Student Association and then the Osteopathic Association, which is free for anybody to join. And it's great because it allows people who might not have the finances available to do AMSA to still have that interaction with the student community on campus. The AMSA account's $470. The pre-med account is $75.17. However, we're not intending to use the full amount of the AMSA account. We're only going to use the money that we members have put in because we think it would be unfair to appropriate that money from the other students, and we want to use that money for events on campus that everybody can directly participate in. For our expensive airfare is $19.52. Ground transport to the airport via personal vehicle is going to be $60. Hotel reservations are $13.86. 2 notes about the airfare and hotel reservations, they're already made, so those numbers are not going to change. Registration is $1,500. Food costs, which we will be paying ourselves, we won't be requesting money for that, is $16.80. And then the AMSA memberships were $450 and chapter dues were $180. That $180 plus our fundraising of, I believe, $185.
Something like that.
Will be used to pay for this event as well.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Oh, sorry. So, like I said, some of the funds have already been dedicated. I paid for the airfare, $19.52. Kayleen, who's not here, paid for the hotel at $13.86. The College of the Sciences is willing to front the registration cost of $1,500, pending approval by this body. And the AMSA and chapter dues have already been paid by each of the students. So altogether, we have already put in this much money, assuming we get the approval from this body, that being $5,468. And that's really the nuts and bolts of the money. If there's questions, we'd love to be able to answer them and try and clarify any misunderstandings there might be.
Julia.
Yeah, I just have one. So it says you guys are asking for $1,500 on there for pending S&A approval. What's the other $113? Because it says like $16.13, but up there it said pending S&A is $1,500.
That's how much they're willing to front the COTS. We'll be paying for the rest.
Oh, there's actually, okay.
Yeah. So if you look at the packet, and I tried to do it kind of side by side on the back page,
Oh, I see it.
where it kind of matches up. So the funding that we get from Club Senate and SAS are not exactly what we need for everything else. And since you guys are kind of the collective, we can add bits and pieces that didn't get covered from SAS or Club Senate to you guys. So yes, you guys are fronting, or you guys are not fronting, you guys are covering our registration. You guys are also tacking on the dollars and cents that weren't covered by SAS and Club Senate.
actually like to make a motion that we consider this today.
There's a motion on the table. Alex seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. You guys are free to either stand here or take a seat while we vote on this. Actually, first, are there any questions for the presenters before we kick them out?
No. I think they know.
And we can continue asking questions too. So, table's open for discussion. Eric.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve $1,613 for the number 1829 AMSA 2018 Convention and Exposition.
Motion in the full amount. Alex seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Like, did you just oppose your own trip?
Like jumping the
I'm
gun
really
a little bit.
against this project.
Just hoping you guys wouldn't.
Moving into section 9, other business communications received. Have you received anything?
Have not received anything.
Moving into section 10, public comment, second call. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving into adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion during this meeting. Julia makes a motion. Maddie seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting's adjourned
They're
at
all jumping in.
5:57.